So, Ornel, when you're aligning stretch goals with your team, what is a takeaway for how to do it right?
One of our operating principles is think big. And we like to think about that. And in many cases, we do a good job. The big challenge that I've seen since we've been adapting out of old school Chewy into the new school mindset of accelerating and building these things very, very quickly and new things very, very quickly is that we tend to not think big enough. On the pharmacy side, we were guilty of that. We've been chasing that business for 2.5 years. Finally, have gotten to a point where we've got some breathing room and capacity and both inbound and outbound. The business continues to ramp, but we didn't think big enough originally. We thought it was going to be a $30 to $60 million business. We blew that out of the water the first year. Because of that, I've taken the approach most recently with like the launch of our compounding business of identify things that break at 10x. So constantly challenging the business to think about what do we need to solve for at 10x scale from where we are now. And that forces us to go through kind of a NASA style approach of understanding the gaps in the business, understanding where you don't have the capacity or understanding where you've got physical space constraints to really start solving for those things now. Because the way that our businesses tend to grow 6 months from now is typically when you've doubled the business. And same thing that breaks at 10x breaks at 2x. So let's solve for future problems so that we're not chasing them constantly, and living in that fire drill mode. Fire drills are probably the worst thing we want to be dealing with. So always solving for 10x. And then I mentioned that NASA style approach. That really is identifying the redundancies that we need to have in place. So what are critical things that if they go down, you need to have a backup in place for so that you don't pause anything that's going on for your business. I would say those two are my more recent mantras in the last 6 months that I've really pushed the team on focusing based on my learnings. Honestly, from beginning of pharmacy, but even through COVID pushed the entire business to think a little bit differently.